Hi everyone, welcome back. So the last section we got to know what is flat list, right? And in this video we'll be implementing that to create a story section of our Instagram UI. So let's continue where we left off. So I'm going to copy this code as such. Okay, I'm just going to copy the first of all I'm copying the dummy data file. Since we do not have any API linked, I'll be using the dummy data file only. Okay, I will go into my VS Code. I will be adding this over here. Once I do that, in fact I can just put it outside, that would be better. I'll just move this and I will just put it, yeah. So this is my data, I will just rename it to stories. I will remove this ID tag, okay. I will just keep this simple, ID1, ID2 and ID3. So what do we have in a story? Let's see what do we have, what data we would need. We need an ID anyway, we'll need the name of the person whose story it is, and then we'll need an image, okay. So let's rename this to username, first one would be your story because it will be our story, right, anyway. Second one could be Joey, third one we can name it as Chandler. Okay, now we'll add some images. Okay, so let's add some URLs. We'll name it image URL. Now where can we get that images? I'm just picking up from random images from the web. Okay, just right click, copy the image address. I'll just go ahead and paste it over here. For now I'll just reuse the same URL all these three places. Later we can change it, no problem. So our dummy data is ready. We have 3 stories right now. Okay, now we need to create an item to display each individual story. Now this is where we come into the picture of custom components. So let's talk a little bit about custom components. As you can see here, this is a whole list, and this list is rendering each and every item, and each and every individual item needs to be a content component in itself. Okay, so let's create that component now. Here we will be creating a user defined component, our own component. Okay, so we'll name it story component. Okay, we'll then simply create this function over here, and then we'll create the item for this particular individual element. So what does this contain? There is a circular image and then there is a text over here. So we will first of all create a view. We will call this view style, and we'll give this a style value of story item. We'll call this story item. Okay, and inside that we'll add an image. Okay, and below that image we'll add a text. We added a text. Now let's copy the text from here. The same styling we can use. We can use the same styling, and yeah, that's all. And for the image also we'll copy this the same thing from here, but we'll change the image source we provide. Okay, now this thing needs to be repeated again and again for n number of stories that you have, and in this case 3, right? Now how can we do that? Let's see. I'm going to implement flat list over here. Okay, so let me just quickly copy the flat list code from the documentation. Here I'll copy it, I will just paste it over here. Now I have a question for you folks. Will this code work or not? Anyone can answer that. You can and drop your answers in the comment section. Will this code work? Take a moment to see. If it doesn't work, why wouldn't it work? Take a moment. So what I did new here is just added a flat list over here. Would this fail or would this run normally? Let's see our output. It is failing. And what does it say? Property flat list doesn't exist. That is because we did not import it over here. So let's quickly import that. We imported it, and I think the error is gone. Perfect. Now what did we do here? We just simply copied the flat list code from the documentation, and instead in the data section here they have their data, which is this one right here, and instead I passed our stories data, which is this one right here. Perfect. After that Just fixing up the code a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Now after that we use the render item method here to render each and every item, right? So what does this item point to? There is an item here. This item points to each individual item inside the story dummy JSON over here. As you can see, we have the stories JSON, and each individual item is being pointed. As you can see, there is an ID, there is a username, and there is an image URL. And in a story component, pass this item. So that is what we are saying, pass this item. So but in our story component, we do not have any item, we are not receiving any props here, right? So let's do that. What all data should we pass into the story component? We need to pass the source, which is the image source, and then we need to pass the text. This text will be what? The name of the user. So we need to pass the username, and then we need to pass the image URL. Okay. So let's add the image URL and the username as properties of this particular component, story component, that we can pass it in this manner. Okay. Right now we have title. I'll just remove that. And once I add the properties here, we'll add it over here. Okay. So the one thing we'll need first is username, and then we'll need the image URL, and then we can just use this username over here, and then the image URL also will go right here. In this way, we can make sure that the dynamic data we pass on to this component is being rendered rather than the static data that is already present over there. Okay. Now how do we pass this? We need to pass this like this. Username is equal to item dot username, and then we have what? Image URL. Image URL is equal to item dot image URL. We save this, and ideally we should be seeing all the story items being displayed. Let's see. So there is an error. Let's see what is the error. 31 requires image URL. Okay, let's see where. Let's fix that. Yeah, we fix that, and there is still a warning here. Let me see that warning, what that warning is. Okay, there is a failed prop type invalid. So let's quickly go to the documentation to see the image component and see what we missed over here. So this could happen, and we need to fix. Yes, this is the problem. Okay, so we are passing a source here, right? Instead, we need to be passing a required tag here. Instead of that, we need to be passing a URL. So we'll just modify this and just update this URI to accommodate the image URL. Okay, let's save it and see. Yeah, the error is gone. Now we have the icon coming up, the story icon coming up, the text is there, everything is coming one below the other. But in the actual output, what we need is them coming in this horizontal way, right? So now this is a vertical scroll. What is happening is a vertical flat list, which is scrolling items vertically. Now we need them to come horizontally like this. So for that, we can use a simple property of flat list called as horizontal. We'll give the value true. Save it, and I go and check the output. It is coming horizontally. Perfect. Now let's do a little bit of styling over here. We will do the styling. Let's start from the image. Okay, logo style. We'll rename this to story profile pic. Okay, let me copy this and add the style for that. I'll add height. I'll add it as 80. Then I'll add width. I'll give some random value. We'll fix this value once we see the actual output. Okay. Then we need to add a small border, right? We need to add a border width. We'll give it a border width of 2, and then we'll give it a border color. So what would be the color? Let's give it pink and see if it is coming as expected. Yes, we can see a pink border coming up. Now what is the problem here? Each story item is a square. We need a circular story item, right? So let's make this a circle. We can give it a border radius value of 50 and save it. Yeah, we have a circle here. I think we can increase the width a little bit because the outline is not properly visible. Let's increase the width to maybe 3 and see. Yeah, there is a little bit of visibility. Now let's add some margins. So for the margin, we'll add the margin to the whole of the container, which is story item. Okay, let's add style to the story item. Story item, we'll add a margin top value, we'll add. Margin top, let's add 10 and see how it is looking good. Let's add some padding. I give it 15. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, looking good. You almost have a story kind of feel here, right? Now, let's add a few more items and see how the scroll works. I'll just copy it and just paste it below, and I'll update the ID 4, 5 and 6. I'll just quickly save it and see. I have multiple items over here, right? See, I can scroll them. So this scroll indicator is a hassle, right? I don't think you will see this in Instagram app also. So let's fix that also, right? Let's go to our code, and we can make use of another property here called as show indicator false. Yeah, show horizontal scroll indicator. We'll make this false. Let's format the code a little bit. Yeah. Now if you go and see the output, we won't have that indicator. Now that's all for this video. We have successfully implemented the story section where we have a flat list which is rendering horizontally, and we removed the indicator, and we have a circular image with a border and the text to signify the username. Okay. We have a story title, and by this our story section is completed. Now you can modify this by giving some attractive images and some attractive usernames. When we come back in the next video, I will have updated the dummy data with some different dummy data which is unique, and we'll be able to see a much more attractive story section. Okay, until then, follow and subscribe.